Well, with the 1-inch, traditionally, you know, the 1-inch or the 2-inch fingerling is going to be handled about the same way. With a 1-inch fingerling, they're going to eat the fry mash right in the beginning. Their mouths are not big enough to take the larger pellets, so we have to give them the size of feed that they're able to actually fit inside their mouth. What we like to do is feed them as often as they want to eat. That's going to help with the cannibalism that occurs with this species. If your grouper's well fed, they're not going to feed on, you know, your stock inside the cage. So, you know, we like to keep them fed, you know, maybe 6 or 7 times, as many times as they will eat. That's what I recommend for the small ones. Once they grow a little bit more, then you can adjust the feeding. Probably when they're about 2 or 3 inches, you probably can feed them 3 times in a day, in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, and in the evening. What we find is that once they reach 150 grams, they really only want to eat 1 time in a day, and we feed them at dawn. So, excuse me, at dusk, right, it's dusk. We feed them at about 5 p.m. once they're 150 grams. They really only will eat 1 time in a day. If you feed them more, they'll just really purge the food out, and it will be waste. It's waste out of your costs, and it's waste for the animal, and it pollutes the environment. So we only really recommend 1 feeding a day after they're 150 grams. As far as the amount of food that we feed them, it's a percentage of the actual biomass. And we're feeding them between 3 and 5% of their entire body mass. So the way you would calculate that is you take a sampling of the fish, you estimate the size, and then you calculate the amount in kilos that is inside by how many pieces you have. So, you know, it's a ratio for sure, but, you know, more than 5%, we're finding that it's waste. You know, so really the recommendation for that animal is 5% of their body weight. We are using Tati feed, and we're happy that Tati feed is actually distributing here in Bohol. Nobody else, I think, distributes high-value feed for our grouper. They're the only ones in the area in Bohol that are distributing the feed, so we're happy to use Tati feed because it's available. We like the formulation. Our fish are healthy, and you know, we have our representative come here once a week, and he checks up on us if we need him to. He always has the feed here on time, so, you know, they deliver every Tuesday to us in our area, and, you know, so it helps us that we don't have to keep too much stock on hand, you know, to have a regular delivery. That way we don't incur any of the diseases or the problems that happen when you store too much food and you're not disposing of it quickly enough. So, you know, yeah, Tati has really helped us.
Kami po sa Tate ay proud na kami lang po ang tanging company na nag-produce ng grouper feeds dahil po ito sa kakulangan ng supply ng trash fish sa market. This commercial feeds is developed through our state-of-the-art research na nagbibigay ng angkop na nutrisyon para sa lapu-lapu para makakuha ng tamang growth rate at ma-harvest mo siya ng early. At hindi ka na mahirapan pang kumuha ng mag-supply ng trash fish. Isa din sa mga mabibigay nitong mabibigay sa iyo na advantages ay maiwasan mo yung mga sakit na dulot ng trash fish. Alam naman natin yung trash fish, marumi po ito, at na itong itatapon natin sa ating area ay ibang hindi nakakain at na-accumulate ng bacteria at produce ng mga sakit, natos ng fungus, bacterial infection. Isa pong benefits na maibigay ng grouper feeds natin ay makakatipid ka sa gasolina pag to source trash fish at labor sa pag-prepare nito at electricity dahil di mo na kailangan bumili ng freezer. At ito rin ay di mo na kailangang makipag-compete sa tao na kumuha ng isda para ipakain sa isda. Sa ganitong paraan ito ay environmental friendly dahil nami-maintain mo yung balance ng environment natin. Isang magandang maibigay ng grouper feeds natin ay kung halimbawa gusto mong mag-produce ng maraming grouper, ay hindi ka na ma-worry sa pakain nila. Kasi yung commercial feeds natin ay ready available. So sigurado kang yung lapu-lapu mo ay mapapakain mo ng wasto at tama ang nutrisyon. Kami po sa Tate ay nagbibigay ng technical support sa inyo through feeding management, cage management at FCR management para maging yung business parang more profitable at maging smooth yung palaisdaan nyo.
Well, you know, all the literature that I had read when I originally started culturing this was giving a 12-month cycle. What we've actually learned is that the cycle is a little bit longer than that. The shooters will grow to market size, which is 500 grams in 12 months. But you're only seeing about 20% of your stock, of any given stock, being fast growers. About 60% will grow, let's just say, at a standard rate, and then the rest of the 20% will grow relatively slowly. So if you're going to talk about the entire cage being liquidated, you may see 16 months between, you know, when you first stock and then when you harvest your last one. Of course, the shooters will be first. They'll grow relatively quickly in 12 months. Then you'll see somewhere 14 months, and then finally the slowest growing ones in 16 months. So we're seeing an actual cycle of about 16 months to empty the entire stock. The reason we chose grouper to culture grouper is because the difference in the market price from other fish that we have available to us. Grouper is actually very highly prized, not only in the Philippines but in all of Asia. It's one of the highest priced fish of really anything that they're pulling out or culturing. So what we're seeing is that all the capital inputs are relatively the same. The labor costs are the same. You know, the cost to build the cages are the same. The nets are the same. The only difference is the market price of the fish at the end of the cycle. Really the only hindrance to culturing grouper is the long cycle. You must be willing to wait the 1 year, the 14 months before you return. But if you're thinking about a 12-month cycle, you're going to return higher than you would culturing Bangus or of rabbit fish or any other species. It's actually, we're seeing a pretty high return on it. Right now, the market price for grouper in Cebu is probably about 485 pesos a kilo. So, you know, we definitely like that market price. We're seeing a very high return on our investment here. It's just the cycle is a little bit long. You know, the other aspect is the feeding, the amount of kilos that in pelletized feed that it takes. You know, with a lot of the other species, you're feeding them 3 times in a day, and with grouper, you know, you're really only feeding them 1 time in a day after they get to 150 grams. So, you know, even though the cycle is longer, the actual return on investment is much higher. The profit margin is very nice when you actually come to market with your fish. So, you know, for that reason, we like grouper for sure.
Kami din po sa Santi Feeds Corporation ay tutulong sa inyo sa marketing para malink kayo sa mga buyers para maging successful po yung pag-aalaga natin ng lapu-lapu. Kung kayo po interesado, kumontak lang po kayo sa mga numbers na makikita nyo sa screen, yung website natin at yung Facebook account natin. Tumawag lang po kayo at kami po ay agarang sasagot sa mga pangailangan nyo. Dahil kami po sa Tate, hindi po namin tinuturing yung customer namin as customer, but tinuturing namin sila as business partner.
Well, you know, I'd like to encourage anybody to do this kind of business, but you know, here, you know, in this park, it's suited for foreign investors. Generally, a Filipino national can culture fish anywhere they would choose to, any suitable place. For a foreign national, you know, we're pretty much restricted to these special zones, which is, you know, it's fine. These areas are pre-selected for their suitability for growing fish. If you have the time and also some free capital, you know, I think you can multiply your capital by doing this business. Fish is in demand here. I mean, just like anywhere else. The high-valued species, of course, are commanding a higher price. But as far as the technical knowledge, it's easy to learn. It's nothing that is beyond anyone's capacity. For most of the people here, they're already engaged in some sort of fishing activity, and just to teach them the proper techniques to culture the fish, it will, I think, will benefit not only them but their families and their whole communities. What we like about this park is that once we develop it, there's going to be a lot of jobs here, for not only the people that are actually working on the cages, but if we set up processing here, there'll be people working in the processing plants. If there's a food mill or any other thing, transportation. There's just lots of economic activity that happens and surrounds this business. So, the more economic activity we have, the more jobs we can create for our own individual communities. So, I think it's more profitable than lots of other businesses that are really being engaged in right now. And, we're doing a good thing. We're growing food for the world. So you can feel good about what you're doing. You can feel good about where your money is multiplying from. There's lots of things to feel good about. As long as we're taking care of our environment and making sure that the area that we grow in stays pristine and suitable for production of marine species, the potential for these sites is incredible.